Hey guys, welcome back to the Hear Me Roar pod. I am Toby and my co-host is none other than the Kate Save, which you might know her from Shark Tank. She's also founder of BeFit Foods and picked up Telstra's Business of the Year award too. Kate?
Well, Toby, you've got a super impressive CV, 25 years in global commercialisation experience, and you founded Creative Cubes, Australia's leading co-working space and real estate business.
All right, let's get on with the pod.
Toby, welcome back to the pod.
Thanks, Kate. How are you?
Really good.
What's going on in your world?
Well, always thinking about how to be better, really, and what else to do next, and trying some new supplements, actually.
Are you?
Yeah. Okay. Just looking at what's out there. I'm not sure if you've seen, or we talked about it on previous pod a while ago, Dr. David Sinclair and longevity and all of that. And, just looking at his sort of top 10 and trying a few things.
So I always walk away from this show going, I can do better in the nutrition department. I got to get myself better. And I come back to the show going, I got this. And I leave the show going, I got to do better again, because I'm not an elite athlete when it comes to nutrition. I think I do okay, but I actually have no knowledge. And so I don't know if I'm doing okay. I don't know if it's an A+ or a D-. I have no idea.
It's about how you feel and how you perform.
I think I perform really well.
Yep.
But am I optimized?
You could be absolute superhero material.
I think so.
Well, our next guest actually who's coming on next will be able to give us some tips.
All right, that sounds good. Let's hear from the guys at Rise.
Guys, I want to introduce you to Rise, a business cohort like no other.
So what is the Rise Network? Rise Network is a curated inner circle of 10 to 12 like-minded peers designed to provide a confidential, high-trust environment where business owners and leaders can gain strategic insights, actionable solutions, and lasting relationships. Rise isn't just networking, it's a game-changing business support system. It has strategic problem solving built in, expert facilitation, actionable insights, long-term impact and authentic relationships, and it's based exclusively around high-trust cohorts. For your membership, you gain full access to Creative Cubes. That means you can drop in when you're on the run to use the meeting rooms, breakout spaces, or even just dock in for the day.
We wanted to serve the underserved, the people that do need the help, do need the support, don't necessarily have the funds to be able to do it, and don't necessarily fit into one of these other organizations. And so that's where Rise kind of came from. So there you have it, guys. Go to werise.au, and I hope to see you at one of our cohorts soon.
Welcome, Olly. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You've got an incredible background, starting training F1 drivers and Olympic athletes. Who were some of the drivers first?
Oh, this is really going to show my age. So Jenson Button was the main driver, and we had Fisichella, and Mark Webber was our test driver at the time.
Wow.
And then what really ages me is, as I was leaving, Alonso had just joined us, and he was a little 19-year-old who had, unbelievable skill, and he's still doing the damn thing. I still tune in and watch, and he's still driving.
I was just driving home last night from South Melbourne. The track's still up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like it's partly down on one side, but still up on the other side. And the F1 was like quite a few weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Did you come to this? Do you enjoy the sport?
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. I love cars and bikes.
Okay.
So I got into F1 to try and make my dad proud. Every Sunday growing up, my mum would delay Sunday lunch being put on the table so we could watch the start.
Wow.
And so it was a real visceral kind of feeling around, I'd love to work there.
Yeah, wow.
And then after I did my studies at the Institute for Sport and got my way through, it was a really interesting dynamic of kind of seeing it from the other side, seeing it from within rather than sort of sitting on my couch and my dad
and it
watching
still light you up, or even more so? Or
so after I got over the PTSD of working in the piranha pool, I have started to love it again with my own son. So every year I take him and 3 or 4 of his mates to go and watch it. because I wanted to create a similar thing with my son.
And did I hear you have a collector's car in your garage as well?
I've got a couple of play cars, yeah.
When you say play, they're not toys. Well, they're big boy
drive.
toys. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they drive. They're not
sitting on the shelf.
No, they're not Matchbox cars. So my family had a tradition that when my sister was born, she was driven home in a white British sports car by my dad. And then about 30 odd years later, she drove away from the church in that same car as she got married. So I wanted to do the same thing for my daughter. So when my daughter was born, I wanted to buy my dream car, but I didn't have the budget to. So I had to build my own. So it took me about 12, 13 years to build it. She's now 14. It's in the garage and get to enjoy it now.
Amazing.
Wow.
Well, hopefully you don't have to drive her or she drives back from the church too soon.
Well, I just hope this generation coming up can drive stick. So she may not be able to.
Well, actually, I believe this might be controversial, but please remain in your seat and don't attack. None of us are going to be driving. How old's your daughter?
So she's 14 now.
Okay, my daughter's 14. I think in the next couple of years, there'll still be some sort of driving. But I drove here this morning. Actually, I got driven here this morning by FSD, full self-driving.
Really?
Didn't touch the wheel. In fact, I haven't touched the wheel, I want to say in the last 4 weeks.
Gosh, that means I'm really out of touch. I didn't think that had been legalized in Victoria.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know if it's legal. But
the cat's out of the bag now.
I absolutely have it enabled on my car. It's $149 a month subscription. You can pay for it up front. And literally you type in the destination. There's a blue button that comes up on the screen. It says start driving. You press that. And you do have to pay attention. You can't be just meddling around. In fact, if I'm on the screen trying to change some music and stuff, it'll beep to say, hey, are you paying attention? And then every now and again, it'll be like, hey, just wiggle the wheel so that we know that you're present.
Taking a little nap.
The precision of driving is amazing. My kids are like, Dad, we're scared. I'm like, it drives better than me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and there's people that I get in the car. I can't get in the car with certain people in my family because they're like this. And I just hit the FSD, please, and let it drive itself. And the first couple of days, I was like hovering on the wheel with my foot over the brake, like ready to stop. But now it's like super chill.
Isn't it amazing how quickly you can get used to something like that?
So amazing.
It's
and the fatigue as well. Actually you don't realize how much, you probably do. But you don't realize how much when you're paying attention and trying to be alert to all the things that are happening on the road versus just pressing the button and waving to people as you're driving down the street. It's quite amazing. But we're way off topic.
It's a segue to burnout, not a burnout in a car though.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this journey.
Yeah, I like
Kate.
that. God, no flies on you.
There you go.
So when I left sport, I needed to move into something that I was equally passionate about. But, I always knew I wanted to be a dad and bring up a family and support them. And I just couldn't do that on an applied sports science salary. So it's sort of heartbreaking to have that. That's all I'd been building for. And, as we were talking about off air, I always wanted to be involved in sport, but I was never good enough to make a living out of sport myself. So the best thing I could do was support those that were. And when you've worked so hard to get somewhere and then it doesn't actually live up to the expectation, and it was quite a difficult period, it was a real eye-opener to, okay, well, what do I do? Everyone's telling you to follow your passion, and that's all great on a poster, but it's really hard as someone who's been kind of disillusioned by, well, I got there and I was following my passion, and now what? And so I went into standard business, but for a brand car and motorbike. And so was trying to still follow that. And, I did that for sort of 8 years. And that's what brought me over to Australia. They moved me from London to Melbourne.
So you work with a car manufacturer?
Yeah.
A bike manufacturer?
At head office for BMW.
Yep.
That was great. But again, it was quite interesting to see a lot of people that were there weren't actually, some were, don't get me wrong, but some, quite a few, weren't that passionate about cars or bikes.
It was just a job.
It was a job. And that's okay, no judgment. But I love the things. And I spend all of my time either tinkering with them or, truth be told, breaking them and trying to fix them. And so I really missed being in health and helping people and so on. So I started my, back then it wasn't called this, but now I think all the cool kids call it a side hustle, or, it was just my passion project. And I started Build a Bridge, my company, about 17 odd years ago. And it was a dirty little secret that I kind of, when I was on stage and doing presentations, I used to have to literally say to people, I've taken
no photos.
No photos. Keep this off LinkedIn. I've taken an annual leave day to be here.
Yeah.
And thank goodness things have changed, over the years. But, I wanted to do that because I wanted to feel closer to what I was passionate about and really help people. And it was something that my best friend in the UK said. He's a fireman over in the UK. And he said, look, Olly, the more senior I get, I can't even smell smoke from my office. And it was that realization of, that's the thing, Tom. That's what I may be passionate about the product, but my day to day, I was moving bikes from the factory in Germany over to all the dealer groups over here in Australia and making sure they had the right spec. Really wasn't what I wanted to do. And it was a wonderful, wonderful period of learning for me in a big, big organization. And I wouldn't have been able to go on and do the things that I did had I not had that experience in big corporate. But it wasn't what lit me up. And what it allowed me to do with Build a Bridge was allowed me to do the thing that was paying the bills and paid the mortgage and so on, but also helped me grow this thing that I was so proud of and wanted to grow and get some experience. And the two really worked well. And when I then left BMW, I went to work at a startup not too far away from here, around just trying to get corporate people moving. It was called Global Corporate Challenge, and it grew up to be a huge, huge success. Lucky enough to be a director there. And when I left there, I then took that experience and went to work at Medibank and sort of took that sort of steady but sure sort of progress into, okay, how do I grow that influence set? At the time, Medibank had about 5 million lives under its sort of watch. And we had just under 1 million at GCC. So I was able to go, no, I'm going at scale. And for years, I've had this hashtag health impact at scale. I've always wanted to influence more and more people. And so my career's just followed that. And then I was lucky enough to run a startup out of Singapore for a couple of years as well. And that was about getting into scale with AI and so on, and managed to sell that a few years ago, and allowed me to just focus on my two businesses, Build a Bridge, which I still have, but also Essentio.
And with Essentio, you do lots of interesting health stuff, and you would love this too, Toby. Like
I'm saying you because I'm in awe.
Stuff, and you've got the fitness side of things, but you talk about the stool with 3 legs and the 3 legs keep you standing, your food and your exercise and your recovery.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember it. So absolutely. So for us, Essentio was born out of the fact that my business partner, Justin Vaughan, who ironically is an elite athlete himself, he played cricket for New Zealand and ran New Zealand cricket for a couple of years too. We had this view of there is a better way to help executives perform better in the workplace. Yeah. And it's not too dissimilar to what we were doing with elite athletes to allow them to perform. And so trying to treat an executive like an elite athlete or the corporate athlete was a real bonding point between Justin and I, and trying to think, how do we take this to the executive world and say, you deserve all of the same kind of focus that I used to give Jensen and so on. Because ultimately, we know what allows human beings, and as squidgy as we are and as fallible as we are, the science has told us what we need to do to help you perform and not burn out. And so sustainable performance is about how do we make sure we put just as much emphasis on your recovery as the doing the do. Game day wasn't every day for my athletes, whereas a lot of the execs that I work with, they're rolling in every day thinking it's game day. Yep.
And Toby's introduced over the last year sauna and ice bathing. Now, you were studying ice bathing, 20 years ago?
Don't rub it in. Yeah.
He's really old.
And it seems new to people,
it's very, so firstly, wow, like really wow. Second, and I mean that sincerely because you've hit so many important notes in your messaging today.
Oh, thank you.
One is, I've got Luke hanging over my head out of Byron Bay. I haven't gotten to it, but he described me as a Formula One car that doesn't know how to pull into the pit stop. And you talk about that every day, right?
Yeah.
Like that's in your wheelhouse and your world. But, you're right. Like I love basketball. I follow my Southeast Melbourne Phoenix all over the country. Unfortunately, we just bowed out of the semi-finals. And that was heartbreaker in Adelaide on Tuesday night. However, there's only 10 guys on that squad, and their game day is maybe twice a week, maybe. As an entrepreneur and as a business leader and founder and someone that's in venture, like our game day is, to your point, every single day. And a lot of the stuff that you're tapping on is really important. On the ice and sauna thing, I've talked about a lot. Just to zoom straight into like the point of it all is I used to work really hard on the running and lifting and stretching and okay on the nutrition.
So your 3-legged stools just rocking.
Oh yeah, it was actually a 2-legged stool, but I've in the last 12 months, I've implemented recovery, which I thought recovery historically was just getting good sleep, and I sleep well. I sleep 10 till 4. It's probably not enough, but like if I went to sleep at 10:01, I'd wake up at 4:01, and if I went to sleep at 9:30, I'd wake up at 3:30. Like that's all my body is asking me for. Probably a double click and a lot of psychology that needs to be underpinned there, but or pulled out there. But the point is that I've implemented recovery in terms of sauna, ice, and sleep now. I've got to just get that nutrition on top. But you make some really great points, and I hope there's a lot of executives out there listening, or founders, or people in business, because to Luke's point, the racing car that doesn't pull over leads to burnout, which you've experienced as well. But you're not alone, and it's not unique to you. And you think all of the daily pressures that are going on in your world, I'm talking to our listeners at the moment, are circumstantial to you and your world. Well, in actual fact, it's almost like a mirror image. Or there's this thing called the babushka doll. Do you know what a babushka doll is? That's happening to everyone. Yeah. And we hear it on the pod. I speak to businesses all day, every day, or business leaders there all day, every day. Everything that's going on, if you're listening out there, in your world, I promise you it's happening to every other person you know in just a different lens. But the point is that if you can take a minute to stop, calibrate. God, there's a lot of sporting, motorsport analogies. Not that I'm being intentional there. And just take stock of what's up. They say this: you can go far by yourself, but you can go further together. And I think what you're talking about, Ollie, is
it's just your life mission. Just
it's amazing.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And there's a lot of people out there that think, oh shit, I'm not doing well enough.
Yeah.
I'm barely keeping it together, but everyone else is doing it easily. Yeah. And it's a really important message that, we do desperately need to listen to ourselves.
Yes.
We need to check in. And one of the things that, you mentioned there is about sometimes some people will add on rather than reduce. So Essentio is called Essentio because we focus on the essentials. And a lot of it's about simplification and reducing the amount of overall load.
Yep.
Whether that load comes from family, whether that load comes from work, whether that load comes from being the sandwich generation and looking after kids and elderly parents, whatever that story looks like for you is okay.
Yep.
But if we just ignore them, to carry on the car analogy, I have a really, really big issue with people that see a light on the car on the dash in their car. They go, okay, I'll phone the garage and I'll book the car in for its yearly service. I've got to do something about it. But yet they've been ignoring all of the signals their body's been sending them for weeks, months, maybe years. Yep. And our ability to just being a bit more caring for ourselves is just magic. And one of the challenges I've had, so when I was at the big health insurer, we were selling health and wellbeing products to organizations that we partnered with, because ultimately health insurance is way more than just paying for things when things go wrong. How do we be preventative? How do we set things up? So it's a great model, and I loved my time at Medibank. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
When I think back to when I talk to executives that go in for a standard once a year health check that a lot of big execs get as part of their benefits package, they go in once a year, they get a list of all the things that are wrong with them, they put it in a drawer, and then they go back next year and things are worse.
Yep.
It's a terrible idea to give a busy person a list of things to go and do.
Yep.
So our job is actually to simplify that and say, okay, how do we habit stack? How do we make things simple to build up that trust in yourself that actually you can do the things that you need to do? And sometimes it's not, ice baths and fasting and so on. Sometimes it's about taking a little bit of time to do some breath work over lunch so that you can do the afternoon session well, or any number of things. If you're going to put on the kettle, sorry, I sound very English for a cup of tea there.
I get it. My mom's from the UK.
But when you flick the kettle on, you got 2 minutes there. You can check in with yourself. You can listen to your dashboard. Is there any lights on? Or you could go and do some squats. Or there's these little opportunities to plug ourselves in.
You remind me of what they say. I've been on, I want to like 17 flights in the last 17 days, 18 days, something like that. Yeah. It's all short trips, but they say put your mask on before you tend to the people next to you.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm hearing from you today, which is you're no good to anyone else if you're no good to yourself.
Yeah.
I get it. Just from a morning ritual perspective for me, I wake up at 4. I don't actually turn the phone on until 7. That 4 till 7 is my time. I work out, feed the dogs, do some housework, house load stuff, make sure everything's good. And I go and work out on my tread or my bike or whatever it is. But I actually don't allow the world to come at me until I've done those morning rituals. And then the same thing at night. I actually go to the sauna and the ice, Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays as well. And everything is switched off. That's my time. And I find myself, truthfully, Olly, when I turn the phone on in the morning, I take a big breath. All right, come at me, world, and there's a bit of anxiety, like opening the inbox and seeing the amount of messages that I've got to get back to. But I'd be so much more out of control if I hadn't done the things in the lead up to that big deep breath before I switch it off airplane mode.
Yeah, I think that's really telling. And my worry in that statement is more that you actually, if you had it on the whole time, which lots of people that we come into contact with do, that general buzz of anxiety that's in the back, when you take that breath and you turn it on, that's coming. They don't even notice that buzz in the background the whole time, a little bit like static electricity that's just buzzing away. And so having that rough and smooth, having that time away gives us the ability to have that perspective. And so when Kate was talking about my 3-legged stool, that is my visualization tool that I've used for donkey's years now to allow people when they first wake up in the morning to assess what is the stability of my 3-legged stool? What do I need to put my energy in today to bring that leg back to the ground so that I have a stable base, whether it's, like you say, to be able to care for the people around me or lead the people that I need to lead well, or be perceptive to the fact that, hey, Sally hasn't been herself for the last 2 weeks. I've just really I must have a chat to Sally. I'm going to reach out to Sally. But unless you're on, if you're on autopilot, Sally just goes on for another 4 weeks not being herself and no one checking in on her.
And I think the important part of this is the fact that, yes, you do the group work, but the fact that you've got the one-on-one, you can actually coach people. People pay for business coaches, financial coaches, every basketball coaches, whatever the coach is, even personal trainers. But in terms of actually coaching the whole person, that's something that's missing. And that's that gap, I guess, that you've seen and now you're filling.
Yeah, and it was a really hard part because when I obviously had my corporate job and I was doing Build a Bridge presentations and keynotes and so on, when I'd get off stage, there'd be, some people waiting to talk to me, and it's lovely. But I never had a vehicle to be able to support them one-on-one because I just didn't have the capacity and the vehicle to be able to do it. And thank goodness I found Justin, and the Essentio was his kind of baby. And we were able to say, okay, well, this is a great channel to be able to say, okay, here is a way. And just to break it down, for Essentio to do what it does, we've got to get some baseline numbers. So it's a 3-month program, but the first month is all just getting data. We use Aura rings, we use DEXA scans, we use DNA, we use full blood work, we do a full nutritional assessment through our dietitian, we do full psychometric testing. So we get a real view of someone's sleep and nutrition and physiology and body composition and so on. And when we go through that, a lot of the time, people know a lot of what's going on. But that ability to go from knowledge to action is really, really hard. And one of the reasons why, and not just because my second name is Bridge, but one of the reasons I wanted to call my business Build a Bridge was to help people build that bridge one step at a time from that intent to action, because that's not always easy. And so once we've got that full data set of where people are, our job is to simplify the message and say, here's not 101 things you need to do. Here's the one thing you're going to do for the next 10 days. And then build up that self-efficacy of, actually, I did do that. And you know what? Using myself as the barometer, I feel a bit better, or I stopped snapping at the kids, or I was a better partner or mother or brother or whatever it is that's your narrative. Building up that I can do it, and building up that trust in yourself that this isn't just another thing that you said you were going to do that got deprioritized because something blew up at work or at home.
Exactly the same analogy with Matt Galton, the EOS that he does for business. He's not going to tell you the 100 things you need to do. In this quarter, here's your 1 to 3 things, and that's what builds successful.
A wise woman once said to me, "How do you eat a dinosaur?" It's like one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And don't look at the big picture of, I've got to get through this whole dinosaur, but actually just, small achievable goals on the regular. They also become, like you pointed out, over the short time, if we just focus on one thing, that now is part of BAU, business as usual. And then when you add the second thing, we talk a lot, I talk a lot with my sales team about layering up, so we have this organic layer that sort of brings in customers and sales and all that. And then the layer up is, all right, social media, and the layer up is podcasts, and the layer up is referrals, and the layer up is real estate agents. And to tell them to go, you got to do all these things to get to 10 layers, it was just like overwhelming. But like, hey guys, for the next 6 weeks, we're just going to focus on the second layer. All right, second layer is moving, now let's move to the third layer. And you become almost like a conductor in trying to bring it all together.
Yeah.
But no one goes from 0 to hero unless.
Correct.
No.
Well, you can go from 0 to 100 in about 3.2 seconds in a Tesla. But no, I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you, Olly. And we will put all of your contacts in the show notes for anyone who's looking for either of the services that you've got, the one-on-one or the group presentations as well. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks, both of you.
Guys, we're going to flick to a break from Luna, and Kate and I'll be back.
Luna.co is a great place for you and your business to start off with phenomenal accounting and legal services. So if you're a startup or a scale-up looking for legal and finance support, or alternatively looking to raise capital, Luna.co is where you need to be starting off.
Some people ask me, are leaders born or made? Are entrepreneurs born or made? In Olly's case, this guy was destined. His last name's Bridge. He's destined. He was destined to do exactly what he's doing. I'm not glad that he had a burnout, but I'm glad that was the tipping point for him to take control and deliver what sounds like, and I know this firsthand, is a really, really important aspect of business and a really, really important thing for people to get control over in order to go and win that championship.
Yeah, you can't, well, a lot of people outsource their health, but I think he brings it back and works you through your health rather than going, this is someone else's problem, or I'll take a pill or just tell me what to do. Actually working with you to work on your health.
I like the short focus goals that then become routine and part of regular programming, or not programming as such, but like just you're brushing your teeth. I get out of bed, I brush my teeth, I go have a shower, I eat my breakfast. That sort of stuff is now, he's building that into people's days. And it sounds like, people are getting great gain from it. Like you said to Olly when he was on the show, we'll put all these details in the show notes below, but wow, what a really impressive person and what an impressive mission.
You've met his wife too, Selena Bridge, the CEO of KX Pilates, an impressive couple.
There you go. We'll see you on the next one, guys.